Riesling and Etruscan, addicts of drugs not yet synthesized, black marketeers of World War III, excisers of telepathic sensitivity, osteopaths of spirit, investigators of infractions denounced by bland paranoid chess players.
What's up, everybody? Clint Esposito here for the Free Thinkers Society. We're bringing you episode number 26 with Michael Romanelli and myself. Basically, we go over the small hiatus, and we also go over a slight change in subject matter for the show. We're still thinking freely and talking about things that help you maybe think freely. So please, everybody, enjoy the show and support our sponsor, Hero Soap Company. You can actually get a discount from them by using the code FREETHINKERS with an S. You get 20% off. And here's our commercial. After that, the podcast. Enjoy.
Do you love freedom? Do you love being clean? Then you'll love Hero Soap Company, made in the USA. Chemical and fragrance free. A portion of each purchase donated to veteran and first responder charities. Initial subscription purchase is matched bar for bar and sent overseas to deploy troops. Let freedom clean. Hero Soap Company.
What is up, everybody? Clint Esposito here with my main man over on the other side of the table, Michael Romanelli, for the Free Thinkers Society number 26.
What's going on, man? Here we are. We're back.
We are back.
We're back. It's been a little bit of time, right, Clint?
Yeah.
A couple weeks?
Yeah, at least that.
It's been months.
A couple weeks is only 2.
It's been, all right. Well, it's been a little bit of time. I'm sorry about that. Needed a little break. Yeah, we took a little time off.
Do you feel rejuvenated?
No.
No.
I
You
don't.
feel more tired.
I was going to say, I feel more tired. But that's okay. We got to keep going. We got to keep it moving. And we decided to do this podcast today because a couple reasons. One, I wanted to give you guys something. I appreciate anybody that listens to this podcast, so we wanted to give you a little bit of content, but I also want to explain what's going on, where we're at with things.
Mike, what's going on?
What's going on? So a lot of things are going on. I mean, this has nothing to do with the podcast, but weed is legal in New Jersey. That's great. Yeah.
Hold on.
Took too long, Clint. Yeah. I can't hear it. But I think it was
You
a chair.
can't hear it?
No. But I think it was a chair. I can't even hear myself right now.
Oh.
But that's okay.
Probably should have looked into that prior to.
I don't
I
even know why I'm wearing
It's my
headphones
fault.
right
Hold
now.
on.
But that's that's okay. Yeah, so weed is there we go. I can hear myself. Weed is legal. Sorry for that first comment. Weed is legal in
Totally legal. I remember years ago thinking like one day one day we'll look back and be like, I used to buy an illegal weed,
Yes.
or you had to drive around scared.
Or people got shot.
Oh yeah,
for weed.
or fucking put in jail for life.
That's the big one. That's what. So I was talking to somebody I guess today, and they were like, "Oh, you're probably so happy." And I'm like, honestly, at this point, like it's not. I don't even know if I'll ever walk into a store. I said just let go of all the fucking people in cages for weed because that's fucked up.
Yeah, well, I've been making the joke that I realized why they had to get rid of cops, because it would just be 250 episodes of them arresting people for something you could buy at a store now.
Exactly, man. And I don't know if they're gonna do that, but
They just
should.
got rid of cops, so that was fixed.
Yeah, they fucking rewriting history, man. Yeah, it's funny because I'll never forget reading. I was reading it was some kind of, I used to read a bunch of magazines were such a thing, right? When we were kids, magazines. So I used to love to read magazines as a kid. And there was a music magazine, and I think it was definitely the guys from Pantera, Cypress Hill, and I think they had like Skid Row, Sebastian Bach, which kind of didn't make sense, but at the time, they had them all there and talking about like cannabis, and I was very young reading this, and talking about how it will be legal. And I can't remember.
Skid Row was against it.
No,
Sebastian Bach was like, "It's the devil's lettuce."
Why would he be like that?
No, I don't know.
You never know, right?
You just made it like it was weird he was there. I was like, he was the against guy.
No, he was definitely pro because he was actually the big part. Like a lot of the faces, they barely said anything. He was the one. I remember I read the article. Oh, it's funny when you had an article or magazines when you were a kid, you read things over and I remember reading it, and he would talk about it in his lifetime. It would be legal, and I will never forget my 10-year-old self saying, I don't even think I smoked. I definitely didn't smoke pot yet, but I was aware of it. Saying this will never happen. There's no way. I mean, back then, weed was in the same sentence as heroin, crack. It was all the same shit. Especially when I was that young. With
Yeah,
Dare
but
and
yeah, exactly.
you know?
Yeah. I'm about to sidetrack. What a lie. Like how fucking annoying is that, right? Like how like weed not even once. Like you could have a heart attack or whatever the hell they told you. Like it was and then you're like, "Oh, it helps you like relax and enjoy stuff." Yeah.
That's what I used to have the best text exchange with DJ Omen, who's not here anymore. I'll never forget, man, when I was in my car. I was in an Uber. I'm sorry. I was in an Uber. I was in an Uber in Florida, and my wife ran inside to get diapers. And the commercial was, "Are you depressed? Maybe ketamine treatment is for you." And I'll never forget I didn't know about this. This was like a couple years ago in Florida, and it was like, you know, so I text DJ Omen, and I was like, I think we're fucking clinically depressed, dude. And he was like, "What does that mean?" I started giving him all like the little cat things. And
No, it sounds like you're fixed.
he knew exactly what I was talking about, and he was like, "No, come on." And he like sent the text to another guy that we're friends with. He's like, he's laughing right now. But it's crazy, man. Like, that's the shit. Like, I remember, we go a little harder. I remember doing K as a kid and being told, like, every time you do a bump, you put a pinhole in your brain. Yeah. And thinking that.
Yeah.
So it's like in the back, oh my God. I mean, but it's so worth it to go to talk to these entities that I'm going to put a pinhole in my brain.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, maybe I'm sure it's more detrimental doing it at the levels that you were probably doing it at, opposed to what they're recommending for microdose.
I don't know. We were like sniffing shit that we used to steal from veterinarian offices. Yeah, I mean, these guys are getting it straight, like,
and then microwaving it, right?
No. Yeah. They're renting hotels in Tijuana.
I thought that's how you poured it on a plate.
I mean, that's
microwave.
That's what we did. And go to the pharmacy and say, El Gato. I forget the sick word. Our El Gato is sick, and they were just okay.
Come on.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. This is pre 9/11, and then you would just cross.
Why
the
did they
border.
tighten up on drugs after 9/11?
That's funny, man.
Like,
it's so funny
how does that correlate at all?
It's funny because I know a lot of us that were especially close to this area. You know why, man? Terrorism. When you're young and dumb, I was just thinking about this. It's so weird.
Explain this. Explain terrorism and drugs to me right now.
Well, that was another propaganda. Like, do you like to fucking do this?
Doing drugs
Do you
pays
know?
the
Yes.
But that's paying cartels. Cartels aren't running planes into our buildings.
I know.
So it's like a different problem.
But I'm just saying they try to like tie it all together.
Yeah.
Like just like way before our time, like Reefer Madness. Right?
Yeah.
It was like, I think at first they tried to pin it on blacks. Mexicans were like raping the white women. Like, they'll smoke this weed.
I thought it was blacks too.
They get all, they definitely did both. I mean, and whoever, man, dude, my first thing here says, let's not talk about politics. This is kind of political.
Well, we won't talk about why they actually made it illegal. We'll just talk about
No, I mean, they definitely made it illegal to keep minorities in jail.
Yeah.
And now, if you like Trump, you're going to go to jail. I mean, I don't want to talk about any of this stuff. This is a new show. I don't even really like Trump. I think he sold out. He should have pardoned Julian Assange. We might lose listeners. I don't really care.
Yeah, why wouldn't you, if you're 100% free speech guy, why wouldn't you pardon both of those guys?
Assange and Snowden?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, start my timer. Okay.
Because then he'd be more of a terrorist?
Well,
We're 8 minutes and 23 seconds in.
well, the rumor is because he was threatened.
Right.
And that's not. I mean, I think that was even on Tucker Carlson. I believe that made like mainstream.
Threatened by who?
I don't know.
The powers that be.
Honestly, at that point,
Hillary Clinton.
By this point in the game, I'm done.
She's like, I'm going to off you.
It's a great segue.
The Illuminati.
Yeah.
Like who threatens the fucking president? Who, like, you know what I mean? Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
It's the
Who is
the guy behind the curtain? The Wizard of
Holy
Oz.
shit! It is. There is a
is.
guy behind the curtain somewhere. We don't even know who this guy
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Is it the same guy that went and talked to Rogan?
I mean,
Is that
yeah.
the same guy?
Well, it's his handler.
Oh, he just sent a peon
He
to
just
deal with
sends
him.
people. He's just some little decrepit old man. Yeah, I don't know, man. The thing is, here we go. I guess this will be the explanation of the pivot of this podcast. It is so much fun to talk about conspiracies. And the Freethinker Society, we free think. When I first started this show, I really wanted to talk to the best of free thinkers. So if you are an expert on flat earth, not necessarily do I believe in flat earth, but I want to hear all the knowledge. I want to hear everything, and I want to not gotcha interview you. I just want to talk to you and see, okay, why should I believe this?
Yeah, we're certainly not outwitting him
No.
on whether the Earth is flat or not.
I'm not going to.
I have no idea.
But I
Either
never
one of you could be right.
That's my point, right? That's my point. Like we want to just, I want to talk to everybody, and if you are, some people are expert. If you're an expert on Bigfoot, let's hear it. If you're an expert on aliens, let's hear it. So that was the whole thing. It was like have a open mind, and then obviously
We need Giorgio.
the whole what?
Giorgio, the guy with the hair
Who's that?
on Ancient Aliens.
Oh, that guy. I'm growing my hair like that. Yeah, we need people like I want to talk to people like that. But anyway, that was the whole idea, and then the whole world was swept by this political thing. I don't know what to think, guys. I really don't. If anyone's coming to me or listening to this show to hear what we have to say about what happened, I don't really know.
What
It's
happened
called
with what?
psyops. What happened? Just like
With the government? Who the
no,
fuck
like
knows?
just what happened in the, you put labels, the truther community, I don't know. I was never a Q person. That's why I brought my very good friend James on to talk about Q and just, hey, what is it? We did this months ago when people was really, and I was into Q just because when I say into it meaning I was researching it years ago, and I got out because there was just too many things. I was like, and then it got giant, and the world, people you never think were talking about, and I was like, okay, I'll get back in. There's a lot of, my point of this, of talking about this, and where I would like this show to go, is to get away, especially from the political stuff, because there is just psyop upon psyop upon psyop upon. I am not smart enough to ever figure out what psyop is set up just to have you just chasing your tail, right? I'm never going to figure that out. I just like to talk to interesting people. I have an open mind. Some people I know so many people to this day that get straight up pissed off if you say flat earth. I don't know if you do.
Oh, yeah. I'm mad.
Are you? No, there's some people that get mad. Now.
That guy that went to the moon.
Yeah. He's
and if you ask him if he didn't go to the moon and it was fake.
He'll punch you or something.
Allegedly.
Yeah. So, Buzz Aldrin will punch you.
Buzz Aldrin.
But that was never my goal for this show. Was just to hear about crazy, weird things, whatever. I also didn't plan on some of the podcast success we had with some of the other shows I was on. But what I want to pivot to is I want to pivot to more of the supernatural, the psychedelic. That's going to be the conversations we're going to have more here. I'm done talking about fucking Trump. I'm done talking about all that shit. It's over. So we're going to change it up. We're going to move things over, and we're going to switch gears a little bit.
Just
Perfect.
fully
So we just took a little break.
15.
Very
13,
nice.
13 to
A
15.
very nice bartender came in and just brought in Clint a semi-dry to go with his
Semi-dry Burnt Mills Cider Company.
goes with his pussy.
That's
I'm
right.
not trying to be like that
Hey-o.
anymore.
Good job. Real free thinking. You dick. Handcrafted in Bedminster, New Jersey. Burnt Mills
That's not close
Cider
here.
Company. It's not close
We're
here?
in undisclosed location. Are we still doing that? No.
No, we're at
Oh,
the
yeah,
Dojo
yeah. We're
of
at
fucking comedy.
We're
What are you
right around the
talking
corner
about?
from this place. Props. This is great. Whoever brought this, thank you. We love it. Clint, of course, knew about it. He knows about everything.
We need hard kombucha.
Yeah, that's gonna be so. Oh man, we're so ADD. This sucks.
You were talking about transitioning.
Yeah, so we're
into-
gonna transition.
into-
I'm going to be Michelle, starting in March. No, I'm just joking.
I was like, what is he talking about?
No, so guys, listen. I'm. It sucks because I just kind of went MIA, and I did have a lot of things to take care of. Clint had a lot of things like the club is about to reopen. The Dojo of Comedy is about to reopen, and yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. And so I had to stop. I had to pull myself out, but I did it at the right time because shit was getting crazy. And I know anybody that listened to the last episode with Sam Tripoli, they're like, "Oh man, you were having like a meltdown," and it's okay. Like that's what this show is. I'm real, man. Like this is me. This is us, and this is how we act. And yeah, I was freaking the fuck out. I was done. Had a couple meltdowns since then. I was never a fucking.
You say that you don't feel rejuvenated, but you seem much better.
No, thanks.
That's like when somebody says you look better, and you're
Yeah.
like, what was wrong with me before?
No, it's okay. Listen, I know that it sucks because we had the man Sam fucking Tripoli on the show, and I was just down. But I was like over it, and I had Sam booked already. And if we're gonna have him and take his time, whatever. The case, what I'm getting at is guys, listen. I know we have a lot of Trump fans that are listeners. I'll never call you guys fans because you're just our family, our listeners. And Trump is not. It never represented me. That whole thing never represented. Now, however, I'm not a hater. I don't judge people. I've had a lot of people that I love that drank that Kool-Aid, drank that cute train, that whole thing. So I went back into put my free thinking hat on, and we had fun. In the back of my mind, I was always questioning it. I'm sorry, and if any of you guys are still riding that train, I think we all got played. I really do. I'm sorry. I think there was a lot of great things that came out of it. I do. And I think the world is fucking changing before our eyes. I really do. I think a lot of good things happen, and the world's still waking up. And while we wake up, I want to pivot to psychedelics. I want to pivot to I want to talk to a guy who's been chasing Bigfoot his whole life. Let's have fun, because we're about to have fun. And it wasn't getting fun anymore. It was getting too serious. I mean, it's still fucking serious, and that's where we're at with this podcast. So we have I have so many fun guests lined up, but we are not going down the political rabbit hole anymore. It's over. And I'm sorry. I could recommend a million shows that will still keep doing it. And I hope you guys still listen. And I think we're going to get, I'm not ever trying to be, I know it's a joke. I'm never trying to be Joe Rogan. And I know that will never happen. I'm just trying to vibe with my own tribe. You psychedelic freaks out there, like that's it. And that's my thing. And we're going to keep talking to you guys and having fun and keep putting on shows and just keep talking to people that have this psychedelic journey. And that's what we're doing.
Or some of you uptight people that need to know about the psychedelic
We're the ones
journey
that fucking
so that
hate
you
you
can.
two retards. See what happens when you took psychedelics? They can't even fucking say their names right.
Yeah, but we're chill, man.
Yeah. So that's that's where we're at. But weed is legal in New Jersey starting Monday. How does that work?
Starting the past Monday.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're
it's already
legal?
we're legal right now.
This is such a big deal, guys. I don't think you understand. If you're not from New Jersey, I don't think you understand.
Yeah, like if you're from an area where weed was legal,
Or just
you don't
chill,
get it.
right? There's like the West
Yeah,
Coast was always chill,
sure.
right? You're a rider, like it was always chill. So like, even it was always that unwritten rule. We never had that unwritten rule.
no.
No.
I had
Oh.
a woman. See, so
Dude.
I'm from here, so it's like You basically hide it from everybody that you can hide it from.
Everyone.
And then especially business-wise. So I was out there riding, doing a movie, and she just happened to like pop into my van. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know that you smoked." And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Why didn't you say anything?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know, because I don't know."
Don't tell people I'm a junkie.
She's like, exactly, exactly. She's like, "Well, this is California. Everybody smokes." Like, she didn't give a fuck. And then, I don't know. That was like a realization of what you're saying.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people, and even people out west that I would consider a bit more conservative, still smoke. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Here,
this is a Jersey
if you're East Coast and you're conservative, you're not a smoking conservative. You're not like a gun and smoking weed guy
That's
at
not
the
normal.
same time.
No. And if you are, you're like, you're
Everybody's
probably
like,
banging
"Ugh."
dudes too. Like your closet's real tight, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Tell everybody in the world that you like to bang dudes, shoot AKs, and smoke a spliff. Like, you are my. I
mean,
cool.
I like weed and guns.
Yeah, and dudes sometimes. But like, my whole thing.
Transitioning dudes.
My whole thing is like, yeah. So Jersey, if any, okay, let's backtrack a little bit. So we're definitely legal. Do we have our legal team look this up before we?
All right.
Are we
I'll look
definitely
it
legal?
up.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I won't say names. So when California comics would fly here from from California to New Jersey, it was always that, like, yeah, you got weed, and when I first started, I was dead sober. I wasn't even smoking weed, and I always just had a lot of friends in California, so I always had awesome blunts and shit that I just always had a little bit of extra that I didn't use.
Marijuana is legal in New Jersey, but sales are months away.
Yeah. Okay.
You cannot.
That's fine.
You can't.
I ain't no fucking.
You can't
El
buy
Chapo.
it. You
I ain't no El
can't.
Chapo.
You can't.
So I said I had
you
a couple.
You cannot buy weed in New Jersey.
Dude, this is the Wild West. This is the perfect time to live in New Jersey. Yeah, what you're saying makes me more happy. So when comics would come in, they'd realize, oh shit. They'd realize real quick, because it is so lax, and it's been in LA and the West Coast for a long time, where it's just a thing and no one talks about it. So they come in and be like, yo, I can't get weed anywhere. I'm like, yeah, you can't, like, no. And I would drop off. That's like one of the things, like in the beginning when LA, and they would be like, oh my God. And I would just be like, yeah, here, take this. And I give them these big blunts and all kinds of shit I had from Cali that at the time I was sober even from weed. And I would just drop it off.
A loser.
Yeah, like a real fucking loser. No, not at all. But, and it was always something. And then you go to California, and it's just like everyone and their mother. It's like getting, when you go to a bar here, Clint, and like, you like the Giants, and you go watch the game at a bar, and all of a sudden you got a keychain, a hat. You're like, wow, I can't believe the bar just gave me all that shit.
Yeah.
Right? It happens all, and like after a while, you're like, all right, I had enough. When you're hanging out in California, and you go to a bar and you're chilling, and they know you, like next thing you know, like you got a blunt, you get edibles, you have all the best shit. That's like gold. It's like gold, and maybe not the best analogy, but to me it seems the same. Just being in the bar scene, like we had so much shit, and
But weed is much better.
Of course.
Than some stupid Jägermeister
weed
t-shirt.
is so much better than the actual Jägermeister. I mean,
that's true.
It's not even a thing, dude. The only reason why I even drink a little bit is because it's been so that was my message might get fucked up, because my message was all about the whole dare and how everything gets lumped together. I still don't believe in a hard soft drug thing. I think they're all stigmas. I know that's a hard pill for people to swallow. Like I do believe all drugs should be legal. I really do. And I know I get into fights with people all the time, and it's always those really tight conservatives. I hate these fucking left-right. This shit's a psyop, guys. Left-right's a psyop. But you know what I'm saying? Like most people
need to come up with a phrase for it. People that follow the
just follow
right.
Or just follow that whole shit.
Or left.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly. Like if you fall into that, because if you ask me, whatever the 10 questions are you left or you right? I guarantee you I'm 5 and 5.
Probably.
Most likely. You know what I mean? So I don't, and I know I think most people really are the same, but they just put us in a box. They put us in a box.
Yeah, and then you deal with the rest of the stigmas. You're like, I agree on this, and this. These are my core principles.
But then
That's
you
why
have
I
to do
picked
this
side, and then you're forced into
that
backing.
happened to me. I'm a big gun guy. I love guns, and people are like, "All right, you want to come to this thing? Well, if you want to be a member, you have to be an NRA member." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
This has happened quite a few times with where I go to gun clubs or places, and they're like, "But if you want to be, it's like you want to be an premium member," and I'm like, "Wait, you're this fuck that."
Yeah, why would you
why are
make?
you telling me I have to do? No.
Why would you make me join another something else to be a part of your club? What the fuck does that?
Like, I want to shoot my gun.
Does that make?
I want to shoot my gun. That's legal.
Wait, so you had to join the NRA just to shoot at
I didn't
the
go
club?
to it. There's a club. It's close to your house, by the way, off air. It's dope. What they do there.
We got lots of guns by me.
Yeah, but what they do there is so crazy, man. Like it's like a Wawa of guns. Like you can go in at any time. Once you pay your fees, you're there. They have 3D range, outdoor range, indoor range. I could bring you once I'm a member. Like it's a country club of like shooting guns. And once again, guys, if you're not from New Jersey, we are whatever the term police state, we are that. Every box. That's why we're so excited about legal weed. Same thing with guns. Like it's very hard to get a gun, and they will take that shit away from you.
So a little bit in other places you can get a gun permit and then you just have it. Here they're only good for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, 30 days.
And it's like a wait for you to get it.
Yes.
And then it's only good for a certain amount of days. And I'm not even sure it is.
It's 30 days.
Maybe it is 30s.
And you're only allowed to get like I think 3 at a time for handguns, and you have to go through the whole process. Fingerprint, references, the whole thing just to get it. So it's a big deal. So when I heard about this range because ranges here are a big ripoff too. It's crazy the ripoff they are. So when I heard about this place and they're accepting members, and this is before the whole craze where everyone and their mother was trying to get guns, I started thinking about it. But the last thing they wanted from me was that I had to like pretty much pledge my allegiance to the NRA. And I'm like, yo, fuck this. Everything else sounds great, but what you're telling me? And it's not. This is not even a knock against the NRA. It's just that I'm not a fucking fan club member of anything other than fucking fish.com. Like I'm not a fan or Tool. I'm sorry, Tool Army. Tool Army and Fish. Like I'm not like a fan. And honestly, at this age, I did that shit when I was 16 years old. I became a member. Like I'm not joining your fucking group.
Do you think that the NRA really fights for our gun rights?
No. If we want to go deeper, no.
So then I
think it's all labels.
And that's the ploy.
I think it's all labels. Oh, this guy's an NRA guy. You know, it's all labels.
Yeah, but that's the ploy. What's the other benefit to belonging to the NRA?
Well, we started saying we're going to get out of why? It's political conspiracies. What I think it is it's a honeypot. And I could be out of my bird right now, but I think it's a honeypot. I think it's like let's put these people in this box. If they want to label all of us, so they just as technology gets better, it's easier to just label, right, and sort and whatever things. Okay, so he is okay with gay and lesbian. He's okay with guns. He's not really into just letting every man become a woman. And he is totally against drugs. Okay.
Sounds like a Nazi.
Yeah. Well, if you're white, I have news for you guys. You just become... doesn't matter what he's... No, I'm joking. But I think it's just more of like data, right? It's all about data. So I think if you just check these boxes, it's easier to define who you are. And what does that mean? Man, I hope there's no fucking trains for... I don't know, man. I don't know if it's like, okay, you're a sheep, you're a little bit of a free thinker. Hey, we'll know. Just straight from this podcast and who I hang out with, we'll know in the next 2 years or not. But, you know, I don't know what it's all about. What I do think is that it's a lot easier to say, okay, you signed this. You signed up for this. Okay, we know. he is a, right away, if you're the NRA, you are right wing. At least that was my opinion. I could be wrong, but I didn't want to sign it because I felt like if I signed that, just like I won't sign that, like I am this or I am that. I'm just fucking me, man. And I don't know, like.
So who's fighting for the gun laws? For gun laws?
I mean, if you ask me that question, there should be no fighting.
Well, who's lobbying or
right,
whatever?
Right. It doesn't matter.
I'm
part of.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
no,
is
and that's them. You're right.
Or is it? I mean, are they? This is my question.
Supposed to be,
or are they one of those what's one of those charities? Yeah, where like 10% of it goes to the fucking deal.
What's the one that we all fell for with the kids?
Red Cross or something.
Let's use Red Cross. Allegedly.
What is it?
We'll use Red Cross. I was gonna go a little
Sally
darker.
Struthers?
I was gonna use a little darker and use a kids one that I know. And then like I've met millionaires that sit on the board, and I'm like, what does he do? Oh, he's the VP of. And I'm like, that's interesting.
It looks good for his resume.
Like no, but like he's like the VP of this company that we all give our pennies and quarters to.
Yeah.
And he's driving that kind of. Oh wait, what? Like, you know
Oh.
what I mean? Like if you're doing that work, and I'm not judging, but like. I don't know, man.
We are judging.
I'm judging.
I mean, that's
I'm
the
definitely
problem.
Judging.
They take too big a percentage. That much should not. If it's a charity, then I feel like most should go to the charity.
And I get that you need to pay, right? Like when we do we run the club, right? Here we go. Perfect analogy. When we run the club, you got a young comic. We'll use the Dojo of Comedy as an example. I get both sides. That's the Libra in me figuring the scales out. I get both sides. You're going to put your fucking work in. You're going to do your hard work. And the end goal is like to get this prize of the stage. Well, the way I look at things is they should be compensated because they are working. They're seating people or whatever it is. We got to give them a little bit. Just at least they showed up. We got to pay them. What happens is with these charities is now all of a sudden the VP makes all the money. Or the vice, or the president, or the CEO, whatever. I hate corporate shit. Whatever happens, and then they find all these loopholes, and next thing you know, it's a shell company just to raise a lot of money for these sick kids. They're gonna put these commercials out, or dogs, and they have Sarah McLachlan crying or singing her song, and then you're gonna throw all these kinds of money for $1 a day. You could, never kill a pit bull, and meanwhile, Eric's driving a fucking every Tesla possible, and you know what I mean. And you get these.
Well, by the time he gets a Tesla and they make all those commercials and pay for him to run, there's not very much left for the sick kids.
Exactly. And that's fucked up because I took it took a while before I'd say no. Do you know when you go to like Target, do you want to donate to this? And I'm just like, I just hit no. And and I feel like you get judged right on the spot when you say no, but that money ain't going to fucking where it needs to go to.
The computer should shame you.
It does. In a way, it does. In a way, it does. Like you hit the no. I mean, the new mask thing, it's one of the positives. Is like you can get away with all this kind of shit. I don't think we need masks, but.
Only if you're using cash. Otherwise, they still got your card information.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy's a scumbag.
Well, I don't know. We got off on all kinds of tangents. I don't even know where the fuck we are right now. It's been a while, guys. And I'm sorry. But my point is that you asked me about the NRA, or I was telling you about a gun club that made me join the NRA. Yeah. Fuck that. I ain't part of any of your groups. The only group I fucking even swear a little bit of allegiance to is the fucking Swarm. I'm part of that shit. And guess what? I never had to pay any dues. I don't have to say anything. Like, it's just people that like to hear our brother from another fucking Sam Tripoli talk shit with XG and Johnny about fucking crazy shit, and that's about it. But I'm not signing a dotted line saying, yes, I agree with this or that, and it's bullshit. And I think it's just more labels, and like we need less labels. We really do. Because labels, all they do is create more shit for us to not come together. And like I said, I'm going to get off the conspiracies. I'm going to get off the political shit. Maybe this is the last show we do this. I really think that shit is done to have you rat your neighbor out, to have you hate your neighbor. I saw it a lot. I saw it a lot during this last presidency, during this even the one before it. we all kind of had a. I was a just so you know, just to, if you, I know roast me. I was a Bernie Sanders guy. I was one of those guys. I was a Bernie bro who felt cheated and said, "I'm going all in on Donald Trump because Bernie got destroyed by this party." And then when I realized he was like part of the whole thing, I'm like, "Oh, this whole thing is just bullshit." So that's where that's when I was like just done. But I just sat and I observed and watched everything, and it's like they're just trying to put us into boxes so we can rat each other out. What I was saying before, what happened in my life is that in my daily life, like my neighbors, I'm not saying where I live, but just everywhere, my neighbors, like I know them. I know their names. I know their kids. Say hello, say goodbye. We're friends. We're nice. We act very cordial and nice to each other. And if your power's out, if I could help you, if you're out of milk, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, all of these signs would pop up, like I'm with her, or there was all these like anti-Trump, and they would pop up, and I felt like the second that happened, especially during COVID, people started turning on each other, and that shit is not cool. I am all about unity, man. Like politics and these stupid fucking NRAs and things like that, like they just divide us. They just keep dividing until all of a sudden it's like, okay, me and Clint, we think alike. We like to hunt. We like to smoke weed. We like girls. Hey, we're a team. No, man. Like, if you really talk to
Later,
people,
it'll get broken down to you like those three things, but you're against whatever. So then we hate you for that.
yes, that's my point. That's my point, and that's
No, I had
scary.
that conversation with
scary,
somebody
dude.
that was. I was like, when our bill got passed and all that money went someplace else, I'm like, basically, don't get sidetracked by all this stuff. Like, this is money for all of us. And I said, don't get sidetracked by gender studies or something. And then somebody got mad at me about that. And I'm like, do you think that's more important than everybody in the country? Yeah, because some of them killed themselves. And I'm like, people from every facet kill themselves for different reasons. The money could go to all of us. Why does it need to go to a specific?
Here we go. Here we go, Clint. So there you go. Why is
All of us.
talking about keeping the money in the United States to help
Racist.
people who are fucked up right now?
Yeah.
All walks of life,
Here's my
even
thing, though.
transgenders who
Fucked
had
up
a
from
job in
whatever.
a bar are
What-
fucked up due to COVID right now.
Yeah, but not even so let's say mental health, whether you have mental health from COVID, losing your job, whatever, or whether you have it because people misgender you.
Well,
It should be available, you know what I mean?
my point is that there's a problem right now within these walls, right? The problem is it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're, I'm going to hit every fucking word we're not supposed to say. I don't care if you're some little gay midget, whatever, on the street and you feel, well, that money that we're raising or we're going to put out and you're from this country, it belongs to you. Moving it to another country for some gender studies shit, when people can't fucking figure out how to feed their families. I don't care who you fuck, what color you think you are, what you assign your, like, I don't care. What is wrong with saying we need to keep all of our money that we all paid into home
Well, that's
within our borders? What's wrong with that?
To me, it's interesting that everybody's fighting over the amount that we do keep here. We're like, we need that and we need that. And then we send all this money other places.
Let's just fight about where the money stays here.
Everybody should be exactly.
Let's fight over that first.
Yeah. No, how about let's all be like, hey, we need to not send it other places.
Yeah, we're in
and
crisis
take care
mode.
of ourselves first, and then we can.
You know, if you're somebody who loves to donate and help others, which everyone should do that, find the right charity. The second crisis mode happens in your personal life. You stop the extras. The United States is in crisis mode.
Yeah.
And I'm sure every country is in crisis mode. So I'm not just, I'm not singling
Yeah,
out.
how did it, at least this year, why wouldn't you, especially for something, like non-essential to life as
That's another one.
gender studies in a country that's so far away from accepting Q as a gender that it's not even funny. Like it seems like wasted money, right?
It seems like
It's like me trying to pitch hard kombucha to you guys. I'm just so ahead of the curve that you can.
I agree with you on that one, but I understand what you're saying. No, it's like right now, what's going on in this country? Like, I want to take care of all of our transgenders. Better in our country. It shouldn't be about labels, and that was my whole point from the beginning. Is that we keep cutting it down, like we're just Americans that need help. We all need help, and like,
Right. No matter what your issue is.
no matter what your issue is, it's like we got to help you guys out, and there's more than enough money to go around. We all pay it, whether you believe in welfare or whether you don't, or whether you believe in but there's a lot of us in the workforce that are paying lots of money, lots of taxes, and there's a lot of money. Like no money should be going out of this country right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it should be staying here, and if we're gonna have, which we have no fucking say over where the dollars go, which we should, but we don't. To say, okay, the money goes here, money goes there. It doesn't. But instead, once again, they throw it out there, and everyone. I love to use that gender, the gender thing for Pakistan. I use it all the time. We spent a lot of money over there.
Yeah.
All I know is that everyone's still talking
They
about.
can't even handle people being gay.
Well,
Do we think that they're
Well-
ready for gender studies?
oh, for sure. I mean, that's a whole.
That's
That's what I'm saying. But we also shouldn't be.
trying
Put-
to influence
yeah.
them to do that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion,
I agree.
And
Yeah.
listen, I'm not saying I agree with it. Like throwing homosexuals off of buildings
Of course
to
not.
me is horrible.
But
and I don't agree with that.
Again,
like,
how are you going to teach them out of it?
It's called fucking. It's called washing money.
Exactly. That's my
And
point.
XYZ,
Is like,
doesn't matter if
it's
he's
so
on the right
silly.
or the left. Is XYZ's son or brother or whatever, or him, is in charge of gender studies there, and none of that money's going to them. It's a lot. Like, I think we're all sick and tired of being
I
sick
think
and tired,
everybody
man.
needs mushrooms.
I
Everybody needs.
I love
a
that message, Clint.
microdose
I love
mushrooms on
micro,
the daily.
macro. I
Yeah,
love
whatever.
it. I do love that psychedelics are. That's another one, man. We started this episode talking about weed. How great is it? Like, we are so late to the party in New Jersey, so we're all like, "Yay, weed!" But like on the West Coast, they're fucking decriminalizing and fucking legalizing psychedelics. Yeah, baby,
Only
let's do
Portland, right?
it. It's no, I think Colorado's got something going on.
Really?
Yeah. No. Okay. So I
shroom-wise?
think yes, I think Portland or Oregon decriminalized all drugs.
Yeah, everything.
Which
They made the chop zone. They're just
chopping.
they're like, we'll just get all these people to kill themselves with all these drugs that we just made legal.
See, that's funny because that's when my brain starts getting real crazy. Because I want things decriminalized because the worst story you ever hear is about an addict who's in jail for the rest of his life, and that happens all the time, or her life. Happens all the time where you hear about a guy or girl who's in jail for some crazy sentence for whatever drug it is.
Yeah.
Now that person wants to alter their consciousness, and the man is going to say, because you like this substance and it doesn't fall in line. It's such a weird time in history. We're going to look back.
Because somebody didn't write you a note so that you could take that.
Yeah, exactly. Because
You don't have a note to feel like that.
because pretty much every fucking drug that you can get, not every, a lot, most drugs that are the most popular you can get, there's some kind of
Coke?
You can. I've heard. I don't know if it's true. I heard you can get liquid cocaine for your nose and shit when you break your nose and stuff, and they spray. Like yeah, you can get. There is.
Well, I mean, that's where all the I forget what they there's tons of things with like Coke.
Yeah, Coke is.
What's the medicinal? It's not Coke. I forgot.
It's like a
what
numbing
it is.
agent.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it definitely. I remember like being at a rave and someone like having liquid cocaine from a dentist or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but yeah, it definitely still has medicinal properties.
Did they get that legally?
Yeah.
Did they obtain it
Yeah.
in a legal? Okay.
Yes.
good.
And now when it comes
Just
to
making
opiates,
sure.
which is killing everyone, every fucking opiate under the sun, including fentanyl, which is killing everyone, which fucked up the game, is legal. Except for heroin.
But it's illegal with their note.
Yeah. True.
Which is just a good
But which
way
is
to
funny
get them to
because
buy the
things that came out of the ground, such as weed, mushrooms, other psychedelics, have been illegal the second you consume them for a really long time. And now they're starting to break these walls. I do think we're going to look back, and I don't think it's my lifetime. I think it's going to be, I think we're starting to break the walls down. Psychedelics slowly on the West Coast, like we were kind of making jokes, like how 10 years ago, it was like really like big deal. You smoke weed, whatever. I think it's going to happen with psychedelics now on the West. It's going to take a while, maybe, hopefully my lifetime on the East Coast. And then I do think within 50 to 100 years, all drugs will be legalized because we're just going to that. That's where we're moving. We're moving into a you do you kind of thing, which it should be. You know, it should be like, hey, if you want to go and do cocaine, do it and know that you're getting cocaine. If you want to do heroin, go do it, but know you're getting heroin. The big problem with most of these drugs is the black market, which goes against almost all my message, which is saying like fuck the regulations. But when it comes to drugs, I'm kind of, as long as there's some kind, I'm not saying the government needs to do it, but someone needs to say, okay, this is purity. Because the reason why most, and I know this is not popular, but the reason why most drugs are really, really bad are because they're on the black market and they are enhanced or not enhanced or just cut with all kinds of bullshit that will fuck you up, not the actual drug.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I'm sure. I wonder if you could stop that on the open market by like flooding it with good stuff or something. I don't know what you could.
I mean, in raves they started doing like test kits when people started dropping. They had
Yeah.
like Dance Safe. I don't know if they're still around, but Dance Safe was a big one. And if you had like ecstasy pills, Dance Safe, you'd bring your pill to them, and they just like they had this thing, and this is in the 90s, guys. I'm sure if I sound old, and like everyone's like, duh, we have this. You had a Dance Safe booth. You bring your pill to them. They'd scratch it. They do something and say, all right, you're good. And like you couldn't get in trouble when you went there. And
How the fuck did they get paid? Did you have to pay them?
No, they were just there. They were just there. They were just. I don't know. You're right. That's another,
That's
that's
really
another
weird.
rabbit hole. But they were. Listen, in New Jersey, it didn't work. You never had Dance Safe tents in New Jersey. It was like a New York thing where nobody gave a fuck, or like Connecticut for sure. Definitely in California, I saw them. Once again, we're talking the 90s. I think now they have like kits that you could buy. I don't know. Don't do drugs anymore, but I am.
Doesn't do them any less.
I'm definitely for that. If you want to enhance or whatever your consciousness, whatever we're going to call that, I'm all for like do it, but no, like okay, if you go and buy Advil in a store, you know it's Advil. That's the problem, man. You know how many people I've lost in this life because, of course, it goes down as an OD, but it's not really in my opinion, it's not an OD because I know that they got sold some bullshit. They got fentanyl is what killed all my friends. You know, like
Yeah, so it's not even an overdose of the drug that they were doing. It's a poisoning.
Yes, and people think it's crazy when I tell them that. Like everyone and their mother, and like I'm not advocating for people to do heroin. I'm really not at all. But it is so. If you
do, be responsible about it.
Well, there's honestly, I would say no because there's no responsible. Honestly, I would say no, Clint, because there's
If
no
you
responsible.
could get good stuff,
No,
then
you can't. I don't care
be
who you are.
responsible.
I don't care who you are. Prince died from it.
Tom
Petty died from it. So there's no.
Why didn't they grow their own poppies?
From what I'm been told, it's not as easy just to grow poppies and the whole process. But my
Those
point,
guys are rich. They
yeah,
could've
my
had a
point is like
greenhouse or
Prince
something.
had a fucking compound. I would think Tom Petty was really well, and like they all died from fentanyl overdoses, thinking they got something else. So if my friends who are in the music industry, who were, I never met those two, but in my opinion, are like geniuses and knew everything and would tell you all this stuff. Like, hey, if you're gonna do opiates, Because if you're just talking about chemistry, if you're just talking about, we'll go as extreme. We'll call it heroin. As an actual, this is heroin. It's not that. It's pretty hard to OD. I know that sounds so crazy. I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not
really
trying
with the amount of
because fentanyl,
opiates that are prescribed to people. Think about people that with back things that are eating friggin' Oxycontin.
What I've heard is that a Roxy 30 is the close. And think about that. Everyone in New Jersey that you can think of, if you fucking whatever, you got Roxy 30. They were around. They call them blueberries around here. Everyone and their mother had them. Now, what I was told, and this is just some bro science, and it probably is true, is that one Roxy 30 is pretty much the equivalent of like a baggie of pure dope. Now, the problem is, I'm going to tell you right now, is because they stopped making them.
I was going to say the old Roxys were good.
Yeah, they stopped making them. So now the black market started making them, and most of them are so a lot of these guys who are like, I'm going to pay more, I don't want to do that dope, and they're going to, or whatever, their doctor cut them off. Basically, it's like we just created this whole thing through law, right?
Yeah.
You started these guys, you started these people, guys or girls, who, and I was one of them, that you told, hey, no, there's nothing else. You're too young. You have all these injuries. You got to just take these pills. And then all of a sudden the government comes in and says, there's no more pills. And you go to the black market and they have the pills. They're even more money and they're cut with fentanyl. And next thing you know, you have a generation of just fucking dead people.
Didn't I tell you once the story about with my leg when I ran out of pain pills and my doctor wouldn't give me any anymore? And I asked my friend down in Texas, I said, hey, can you get pain pills? And he goes, no, I can't get pills. He goes, I can get opium hash, which I thought was just like weed hash, but it is not.
No, it's probably black tar.
So that's how I end up doing that because I fucking ran out of shit.
Yeah.
And my leg is fucking fucked up. Finally, after a couple of days, I'm like, dude, I said, I don't care. Get me whatever. I said, because I can't take it.
No, I didn't know that story about you.
Yeah,
but that
I did it for 4 days, and then I was like, you know what? I guess I'm just going to be in pain.
Yeah.
So.
Same thing with me, Mero. I didn't go that far. I did get the offer, and I was like, no.
I didn't realize what it was. I thought it was
early.
just like regular hash. So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought it was. Then next thing you know, I'm fucking.
See, that's my point, man. This is crazy.
Freebasing it off fucking.
My doctor didn't tell me
I'm like, what is the hell?
Why am I doing this on tinfoil? I think I saw this.
This tastes horrible.
I saw this on Cops once. This doesn't seem right.
I'm like, this tastes horrible. This horrible method. Why are we doing this?
I'm kind of. Yeah, it's just fucked up. It's not. It's. There's so many people that could be alive because we all were fed the wrong shit, and that's the thing that really makes me sad. It makes me very sad because we were all told this lie. Anybody listening to this podcast, we were told this lie that it's all the same. I say it. It's the first thing I ever said when I was ever on a podcast. I'm in the psychedelic and conspiracy closet because I lived a life where if I told you I love to do acid, people looked at you like there was either people that did it and they were like, cool. But a lot of people looked at you like, oh, he's a junkie. And I was like, really? Like, I feel so much like a better person after that trip. And then I was like, okay, I got to stop talking about this. Same thing happened with conspiracies because I would talk to people about shit that I knew, like thought I knew about or think I knew about. And they would be like, you're a crazy person. So I stopped talking about all that shit to everybody. And then all of a sudden podcasting came along and there was all these people talking about all this stuff. And I was like, let's get involved. And I lost a lot of friends. And I feel like that's another part of my message, that if people understand that drugs are not all the same, that it does sound very fucking extreme. But I think all drugs should be legal. I really do.
Here's a good tip for overdosing as well, Mike. If you used to do a drug and then you didn't do it for a while, don't just jump back in to level 3 where you were prior to your break. That takes
that
a
would have
lot,
saved quite a few. Yeah.
quite a few people because you're used to doing whatever you could do, and then you're like, yeah, this is how we do it. But since you're break, you're a little bit.
That's definitely rule number one. I'm sure I've lost a few because of that, because I've lost a lot of my people around me from this shit, especially once fentanyl became a thing. I do feel like a lot of people I fucked with were really smart and would always say that, and fentanyl kind of changed the game.
Well, that, like I said, that's a poisoning, because if you're, like you said, if you were getting really good whatever it is that's pure, then you would be able to regulate your dosages much easier. But if all of a sudden you're given something, i.e. fentanyl, that you don't normally take, sounds like the cops are outside on the horn. I mean, they can't hear us, can they?
There's definitely a lot of cops outside. I don't think there's anything.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there is. No, it's not.
It's not for somebody smoking weed.
I don't think.
I wish I heard what they just said.
No, yeah, there's definitely a lot of cops outside right now. That's okay. I don't think it has anything to do with that.
I hope it
No,
doesn't.
it's nothing to do with it. Why would it have anything to do with our podcast? I'm just talking about drugs. No, I'm just
Dude, this is how cops love the Free Thinkers Society.
Well, listen, man.
They
it's
can't
not,
even
it's
be
not
listening.
even
It's not
their-
even live. They
It's
can't
not even their fault. You know, it's fucked up because there's this new wave of people. I commend them. Too old for this shit. That are sitting down and talking to cops and like, it's this system, dude. That are sitting down and being like, hey, just so you know, what these topics we're talking about. Clint broke his femur. You know, he had a compound fracture of his femur. I don't know if he had that, but I'm just saying. And then
Compound tib fib.
yeah, and you know, and blah blah blah, blah, and that's why he and I'm just using him as an example. This is not Clint, and that's why. But in their eyes.
That is why I did the opium.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. So now the police officer pulls you over, and hey, where do these pills? These pills don't
100%.
belong. You know
I'm
what I
just
mean?
now a scumbag.
You're just a scumbag. But you know what? Like this off and this
Because
all,
he
this is all
broke the
theoretical.
law.
But yeah, but little, you know, but police officer Johnny took little Jimmy to a fucking ride, and they had a lot of fun. And Clint is the guy. You know what I mean? And it's just this whole chain where we're all fighting each other over bullshit. When you sit that cop down, and you say, you know what? And once again, I'm just using Clint as an example. You know, no, Clint needed that because his doctor got cut off because XYZ, because of the black market. You guys get what I'm saying. My point is that when you tell a police officer that, they start questioning. We all start questioning because we were fed these narratives. And yeah, because you wanted to be a cop, you realize, no, I'm never going to do drugs. So you write them off, and everyone who did them are fucked up. And then you find out about his story. Even my story, man. I fucked my leg up and was, you know.
That's easy to say, I feel like, but it's more difficult to really enact in real life. You know, I think that you
Which
think
part?
that, like, just being able to see somebody else's struggle. Like, so you told his story was told to the cop, but still, like, I had a friend that, and I just was talking about this, that dislocated his hip, and he's laying on the ground, friggin' screaming bloody murder. You would have thought he was hit by a car or something. Then I break my tib fib and my tibial plateau by my knee, destroying my knee, yada yada, getting infection, and he has zero fucking zero sympathy. Couldn't give a shit, and it would say things like, you know, and I was just like, you fucking laid there with a dislocated
Work harder,
hip, like,
faggot.
yeah, like freaking the fuck out. And it's because I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good with dealing with, especially the initial injury and pain and all that. Yeah, eventually the pain wears you down, and then. But so I'm like, in the beginning when I deal with it well, I think people take it like it doesn't bother me. because I'm not screaming at the time. So nobody ever thinks that I'm actually in as much pain as I'm in. And the worst thing that could ever happen to somebody is what a person has dealt with, right? What they can relate to. Yeah. Everybody says, I've been through so much, nobody would have survived.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you, like, that's nice to think, but I bet you there's some people that's life makes you look like a fairy tale. You know what I mean?
Anybody in the States that's listening to this, we all need to check ourselves all the time.
Everybody here that's bitching about how much America sucks and how poor we are is, in the scope of the world, is an asshole.
Yes. And it's not as bad. But I don't also want to minimize somebody who wants to kill themselves because shit is not the same. So I don't want to minimize that.
But they need perspective as well. They need the mushrooms to realize, hey.
Yeah.
My situation sucks, but it could be worse, and there are worse scenarios. Like these people that are so desperate that are trying to get here. Those people's
they're
scenarios
that desperate that they're like sending, like, you have to put
on rafts and this
I always
and
put
that.
myself in someone's shoes,
bro.
That if you're gonna
their
hand your
situation
kid over,
sucks.
Yeah,
much worse.
Yes.
So I mean, I think that you can't
I agree with that, man.
Belittle people's plights. But I think for themselves, a lot of times, you still need the perspective of like, man, it could be worse.
Absolutely. When it comes to I agree with that so much, man. I constantly am checking myself when I don't get back to a comedian or whatever, and I complain about. I'm like, am I complaining? It's busy. That's weird. So I know what you're saying. The example I was giving to you about the police is a little bit different because I have compassion, man. Having compassion is a big fucking part of. If you're having an awakening and you're listening to this podcast, you feel like you're having an awakening, which is a big topic in this industry. You start having these aha moments.
This is from a guy that has done psychedelics, okay? So put yourself into the shoes
that's what I'm saying.
Of a cop or somebody that's
who's been
never
told,
done.
Who's been told that this guy, that's what I'm saying. So things are, but that same cop might be listening to Joe Rogan and his perspective. But that's my point. My point is that it's easy to get mad at the cop. And listen, if a cop is just beating the shit out of a traffic stop because he has dark skin, like, well then, and I've seen it all. So I'm not dismissed. What I'm talking about is where we all have to remember we've been programmed and we've been taught to fight. It goes back to the beginning of this podcast, is that we've been taught to kind of like, oh, you like that candidate? You like that candidate? Oh, you think smoking weed is cool? But you can go every Friday night to a bar and spend your paycheck. Like, we got to stop with that and stop judging and realize we're just all in this shit together. Nobody knows fucking shit about shit. The strings are being pulled by people better than us because, I wouldn't be doing this podcast. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people, and where I'm at on my journey is I'm starting to have compassion for the guys who think, because remember, weed is legal right now in New Jersey. And this, if you're a New Jersey fan, you get it. Like, weed has been this, I think you might get in less trouble for cocaine than weed in New Jersey.
In the past?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm almost positive. Like, you can get caught with a gram of coke and a gram of weed, and you're gonna, like, I know many more people that had their lives fucked from weed than coke. Whatever. Bottom line is that, like, if you pull someone over and that whole, like you gotta remember, they've been trained that whoever smokes is a loser, is a whatever stigmas.
But even just, it's against the law. I know cops that are even like when I'm retired, I'm gonna smoke, but
that's true.
But it's against the law, so you know what I mean.
That is true, but the more I talk to people in the industry,
I think it's changing.
I think it's changing a lot. Clint, we're very as much as so many times I just think about things, which is not really the best characteristic, but it is. I think
you got to think sometimes.
I think a lot. And I think about how what you just said, it's the law. It's the law. Like it has to be. And then think about that person. Their whole life. Like if you smoked a dime bag, and I've met those people. Once again, I'm a Libra. I'm friends with everyone. I get it all. The guy, and I've hung out with those people that are like, it's the fucking law, man. And I have compassion for them because that's all they fucking know.
Yeah.
When we start talking about our injury stories, when, God forbid, fucking Officer Billy's fucking sister or daughter got into a car accident and now she's getting this or getting that, and now they're saying, hey, all of a sudden he starts changing his, but it takes that much of a trauma for him to change his tune because he's doing his job. That's my point. My point is all these jobs, all the labels, all that shit's got to go, man. Same with fucking politics. Like there's so many great people in, we'll call it the truther community, that got sucked away by this whole like all of a sudden it all became like, are you for Trump or you against Trump? Like you're into masks. Is this whole thing. It's like stop with all these fucking labels. Same thing when it comes to drugs. And it fucking puts people in boxes that are not.
I mean, I think there should be like people are like a Coke addict or they just enjoy Coke. You know what I mean? Because there are two different type of people that do Coke, right? Some people can do it and function and not go off the rails. No, and I'm not just labeling. I'm just.
I understand what you're saying.
Any drug.
But if all the let's just say we'll go as extreme.
Let's go Coke.
We can even go as extreme as crack.
Okay.
Right. We'll go that extreme. Now, if that person could go down to the Wawa right here and buy, or the CVS or Walgreens and buy that Coke or crack with their paycheck, are they going to act as erratic? I don't know. I'm not sure because
that's true.
Because
you think the paranoia?
I don't see people killing. Dude, let me tell you something, man. I've been there and back with addiction. Spoiler alert: if anyone's fucking into addiction, alcohol is the worst one. There's only two drugs that will kill you when you withdraw. It's alcohol and Xanax. And both are not like things where like you're like, well, alcohol, that's not true. But Xanax is not something like, but those two will kill you, right? If you withdraw, like where it feels like withdrawal from heroin, it feels like you're going to die. You're not going to die. You won't. Physically not going to happen. You can die if you've been drinking for 20 years straight and you stop. That's how Amy Winehouse died. You will die. Same thing with Xanax. Giving out like fucking bubble gum in this country. If anyone says I have a Xanax prescription, you do not judge that person. You say, oh, they're a little paranoid. They're a little not paranoid. They have a little anxiety. They're a little nervous. It's okay. But if they take that fucking pill that the doctor gave them every single day for a couple of years, they're going to have an addiction that if they stop, they're going to die. No one talks about this shit. Now,
but they had to have it. It was prescribed by a doctor.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, man.
That's
when you trust that fucking dude. When you trust Dr. Fauci, who says you need a whole box of fucking masks on your head, and maybe you'll be okay. That's it, man. That's what it is. So, drugs are just a thing. They're just a thing. That's my whole point. They're just a thing. I don't even know how we got off on this tangent, but it kind of all goes together. It does.
I mean, it
does go all together.
Yeah, you're transitioning away from politics, and we're going more into psychedelics and free thinking about drugs in general, but being responsible.
Yes.
And realizing the issue is not necessarily the drugs, but the fact that they're illegal, and now they get forced through the unregulated black market, where now they're adding bullshit so that they can stretch it. Yeah,
exactly. Or something, it's even crazier with some shit, but yes. Now,
or just pretend like
or stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all kinds of shit. So yeah, all that.
It's all because it's unregulated.
Yes.
If it was regulated,
which is so crazy,
you'd be able to look at the ingredients and go, I'm getting.
Which is so crazy because like trust them because it's regulated. But yes.
I know. It's a catch-22, right?
It is. It's so weird.
You need to have it where it's like And I mean, I guess this gets slippery too. One, in any of these entities, people need to have limited terms, just like we need to do in government.
Yeah.
So then you have
Keep people honest.
you have a entity that tests all the purity of companies, drugs, and stuff like that. But so maybe they're the regulators, but everybody else is a free market producer.
There's ways, man. That's what I'm saying. Like the whole it's all coming down, man. Even if you look at Bitcoin, you look at blockchain technology, you look at all this, like everything's changing, and some people are going to accept it and some aren't. And 100 years from now, dude, this world is going to be so different. You know, we're on the cusp of something. It's cool. Like we're witnessing. What a time to be alive to witness this all. But yeah, man, same thing with like weed. Like weed being legal doesn't mean everyone should do it. Doesn't mean everyone should do it. And that's another message of mine, is that I think there's a lot of people out there that are jumping on the psychedelic train. And I was on I forget what podcast it was. Maybe Limitless One. I think it was that one, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I was on a podcast and we were talking about it. And it's like, it doesn't mean that everyone should do psychedelics, because that's the wrong message. To say that everyone should do psychedelics is definitely the wrong message, because not everybody should. There's definitely, and most people should, but there's definitely some people that shouldn't.
There's even figuring out which psychedelic works
for
with you.
Yes, man.
It's not like everybody's a mushroom guy or an acid guy. You got to figure out what.
No, you figure out, and then okay, there you go. Like mushroom versus acid, one of the best debates. I want to debate Tripoli on this because he talks so much shit about acid. But my whole thing to him is that you did not get acid; you got something else. And I want to debate him on that because I understand what he's saying.
You're gonna have to get real acid and give it to him, and then
yeah. I'm not doing that, but somebody. But the thing is, man, is that I heard that early on, and I took a lot of mushrooms did not work with.
We've
me.
had this conversation a lot because I'm a mushroom person.
Yes,
I get along very well with mushrooms.
But if some jerk off is selling you acid and it's not acid,
right? No.
Well, then it's very hard to fake a mushroom. The worst thing happens when you fake a mushroom. That's where I'm like,
that's true.
So if you fake a mushroom, unless you I've never heard of this where somebody sprinkles something, but they don't do that, you might not trip.
On what? Just some regular mushroom that looks similar?
Like put some, but the problem is the things that they could fake to pretend it's acid, can kill you. It can kill you, and if it doesn't kill you, that shit will put your ass in a cycle.
Okay, so how was acid made? That's all in a chemical
It's ergot.
Okay. But they're making
it's rye. It's some kind of rye.
It's a fungus.
Yes.
On rye.
Yes. And then it gets then once you get past that.
So for anybody that doesn't know,
way too dumb. That's a hard process.
The wheat that they were using to make to brew beer and make bread. This is also one of the things that they think may have affected the Salem witch trials.
Yes, big time.
So in this time period, they couldn't store the wheat in refrigerators or whatever, and it just got dried out, and a lot of times it got mold on it. Well, the mold that it got was psychedelic. So now they had bread and beer and whatever else they made with it that could have been contaminated.
And all the now bitches were bad.
Now these people are freaking out.
Crazy.
Yeah. Fucking this chick did something. We're all tripping our dicks off.
That bitch is crazy.
This bitch did some weird shit, bro. She did some weird shit. Should we burn her? Fuck yeah, we should. I seen it too. That freaked me out. Let's burn her. Like,
I was banging Ann and she brought Amy. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it got real crazy. And it's not even really
and
funny,
imagine if everybody was tripping, though, for real. If everybody's tripping, imagine how a frenzy could happen if somebody did some weird shit, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a time.
Yeah. You might as well.
And when is this happen? When is this? 1800s? I don't even know when this is. When is it? 1800? It's at least 100, 200 years ago. Bro. That's a time we didn't even know why thunder happened. Or, you know what I mean? They still had gods to describe why there was lightning.
Yeah.
And now they're tripping their asses off. And they're
burn
just
her.
like, we don't. And a whole group is like, she's evil. You're like, we got to get rid of her. Sorry.
Yeah. A couple of the guys on the tribunal were probably like, fucking, what's his name? I fucked that up.
They were
What's the
pregnant
what's the
with
bald guy
their baby.
from Amazon? Jeff
They were
Bezos. Bezos was one of the fucking judges. He
This-
fucking figured out it. He kept drinking it, time traveled, created
It was.
fucking
I
Amazon,
think that
Kindle Fire.
some powerful guy had banged all these women and impregnated them, and then he was like, they're witches. They're like, he impregnated me, and
shit.
he's like, they're witches. I have burned them.
Oh, damn. Damn, that's a really
Good
might-
twist on that.
that might-
Sorry.
I mean, brings me to why women
That's a
need to be in
movie.
charge, but yes. You'd be like, yo, you weren't saying that. Like, what was that, Biggie Small? You weren't saying that when you eat my pussy.
Yeah. You a nasty motherfucker.
I wasn't saying that, bitch. But yeah, I mean, hey, I definitely could see.
If you didn't know you were getting psychedelics, but everybody or like a big portion of people were all tripping and acting weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, so maybe if everybody else was sober and then they started they ate something bad. So as people just got the bad food, they were like, oh shit, another one.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Like, that's the whole like MK Ultra, suggestive programming, all that stuff. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, have you ever been dosed?
Like when I didn't know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think I'm kind of a
'Cause
warrior.
you kind of have to
I'm
prepare
kind of a
yourself.
no. Yeah, it's not. I don't
for-
care who you are.
For trips, you have to be like,
Yeah, you got to know.
okay,
have
I'm
to
gonna
know.
prepare myself here and like put myself in the right mental space to like do this.
I'm
So
a
I
warrior.
imagine if all of a sudden something started creeping on you, it's definitely a different.
I've never been dosed at like a court hearing. I've never been dosed at something like that.
Right.
It's always been like, doosh, 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 like, motherfucker, who did that? You know? So it's like, I'm not the authority, but it's even being in that set and setting where it's like visual, like everything's trippy. There's been times where to this day I'm like, did someone, and like my friends will laugh, like they won't tell, did you dose me or whatever? And it's like, but I was walking into a rave or a concert. Now walking into like a hearing of someone who's like witchcraft. Like, it's
Right.
a judge you just dosed.
I
Yeah, that's
would
what I'm saying. It's a
imagine-
whole different level.
I would imagine
It's a
they
whole nother
probably
level.
had trials for that shit within the day.
That's a whole different level.
No?
But
Were they
ima-
that freaked out? You know what I mean? That day. So imagine if it's still going on. So you eat something, you start tripping out, and you're like, oh, fuck. Next thing you know, you're like, people are out to get me.
Yeah,
Next
that's
thing
a
you know,
witch.
people really are out to fucking get you because you're acting weird. So then
Oh, it
they're
could
like,
be a
all right,
big problem.
we're taking you downtown. You're like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That could
And if you're having
escalate
like that
very-
weird trip where you
That's
don't
my
know,
point.
and they're like, "Yo, that guy," and like someone wants to fuck with you,
Exactly.
you're like, "Yeah,
And now
yeah." And I could see it. I could totally
it could
see it.
escalate very quickly from you just accidentally eating some bad fucking bread
Yeah.
to now all of a sudden you're like paranoid people are after you, then people
Yeah,
are
I'm
after
paranoid,
you,
and people
and now you're
are.
on trial. You're like, what in the fuck?
Next thing you know, I'm fucking burning.
You're tripping dick, and everybody wants to talk to you for some reason. You know, like you're just on this stage and
Like, you powdered
everybody's
your
staring
fucking
at you.
head. You put the wig on.
Imagine you're tripping, you're having a bad trip, and they put you on stage, and there's the whole town is surrounding you, staring at you angrily, asking you questions.
This is the Mike Marino show. Inside joke. Sorry.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. You definitely are, man. When everyone's in your ear, and you are like,
Yo,
and then you know,
normally you think people are staring at you. No, you're on stage, and the whole town is staring at you for real.
and you just ate a rye bread sandwich. That's just the biggest dose of. It's like
yo,
bigger than
yo.
Owsley Bear gave you
You're
something. And
in
it's right for that,
another
like,
dimension.
Yeah, you're in
you
another.
don't even see people standing out there.
Yeah, Yeah, I could see it. I could totally see it. And I could see like the paranoia, and I could see the craziness, and I could see all that. Yeah. Yeah, you broke it down. I got you. Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, it kind of also goes into kind of what we're talking about. This whole conversation is like the crazy hysteria of half truths, or people that think they see the truth, or people that want to join the NRA. It's all.
This is something I was actually just thinking. I've thought about recently, and I was actually just thinking about, and you started that, and it kind of already leads into what I was going to say. Have you seen the videos of the guys, the bums, that are just dropping knowledge?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I think that guy took a lot of whatever it was and sees all this shit and can't get anybody to listen to him, and that's why he's crazy. He's lost it. That's
now,
why he's on the side of the road.
I've thought a lot about this. Before we go any further, are you talking about like the guys like in the Renaissance Fair? Because that dude is like a famous dude who's a truther.
I
don't. Nicole's talking
think...
about the Rothschild, and he's like all like.
I don't know.
It
face. Was in a
and he does all this stuff.
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's this one guy. Just anyone who's going to try to debunk us. There's one guy who's at every Renaissance Fair, and he knows a lot. It's like, it might be Sam Tripoli. It might be Sam on the weekend. The days he's not booked.
No, this guy was just like he looks like a bum. He dresses like that.
Yeah, there's a guy who I always was like. Pfft.
It wasn't at a Renaissance Fair.
All right, whatever. It doesn't matter. There is one. It doesn't matter. I know what you're saying, Clint. Like, I've been in subways.
Right.
Like at 3 a.m. where this guy is not fucking going viral. And he's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden he's dropping shit. And you're like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And I'm the only one like with my head perked up like, yo, this dude is dropping.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. It's funny. Man, I thought we were going to end this thing, but we'll go a little further. So it's funny because when I was doing all those ceremonies with these shamans, they would talk about those people. I apparently.
They snapped. They just did.
What they would say, what they would say. There was a podcast I was on recently talking about. What they would say is that those people are so in tune that they're just literally brought back here. Like that was their belief on those people. That the ones that are like that, some are mentally not fit. However, there's a lot of them that are a vessel for this information. They're dropping it all. Some of them might be prophets. Some of them might be whatever they are, but they just can't handle it. And that's their take. If you look up like Brazilian like a lot of Brazilian shamans talk about those people and say that like they're just in their form in a different spot.
So they like have the power, whatever. Let's say it's a talent or something. They have that talent, but they don't fully understand it. So they kind of like make themselves like. There's plenty of people that are super talented but never use that talent because they don't like fully understand how to harness it.
There's a whole, you could look it up. It's easy to Google. There's a whole bunch of shamans that believe that they call them the United States mentally unfit don't belong there. And this is what it is. And I've actually spoken to some of the shamans because growing up in this area in the Northeast, I've seen all of that stuff. Where some of it's like scary, but sometimes you're like, what the fuck? Like it's such to a precision where they know. I know what you're talking about, where it's like just that rattling. So I've brought it up, and there you could find it where there's certain shamans. I actually know the one shaman. I think it's a viral video. I know him. He talks about what he thinks those people are, who they are, why they're here, and his perspective. And I've always kind of thought that about them. Then all of a sudden, there's like this dude who's like really, who I definitely shared his videos 10 years ago, where I'm like, oh my God. And then like that video goes back and it's a dude at a Renaissance Fair and he's very famous. I'm not denying his knowledge. He's just not homeless. He's part of the show. But he's talking about the banking and the one world.
So why do we
there is that one guy.
Discredit that guy because he actually...
Well, he might be so enlightened that he knows like to go into character of
right and to use it to actually profit. Where that's why we're shitting on the other people because they're homeless, but then we're shitting on this guy because he seems like he has it too much together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got you. You're right. You're fucking right. It's crazy, man. It kind of brings this whole conversation full circle. Is that Stop dividing us. Clint, if you put, I was gonna say 90. That might be too high. You put 80% of the people in this world, sit them down right here, and they talk to us. We're gonna say,
What's up?
he's pretty cool. She was pretty cool. We spoke to him or her for 3 hours, and they're pretty cool. I don't 100% agree with this, but we don't have this hatred. This is all
Right.
fake. It's
No,
all fake,
not in
dude.
person.
It's all fake, and that's the problem. The problem is that that's a big reason why. Forget about Trump. The big reason why I was like, I'm out, and I was out a couple months before the end of this election. I was out, but I just kept doing it because I love doing podcasts. But I was out. It was because I hate division. When I started seeing, that's why I'm so interested in flat Earth. I'm interested in flat Earth, not so much because I'm way too dumb to understand if the Earth is flat or round. But I was interested in their reaction, that people were so upset. If you bring up flat Earth, people get very upset. So I was interested in the reaction, and it's the same thing. It's just with everything. Like, why do we have this reaction? Why are we so upset? And it just goes to everything we're talking about when it comes to drugs, when it comes to homeless people on the street talking gibberish, which also makes sense when it comes to what side of the political spectrum. It's like there's a bunch of bullshit. At the end of the day, all it is just divide us and put us into boxes. And that shit got to end. And if you're listening to the Free Thinker Society, like, we don't fit into a box. We are the misfits of the misfits of the misfits. We laugh at least I laugh at shit that you shouldn't laugh at. I've experimented with all kinds of shit and try to take the best from it, try to take the worst from it, and explain to people why you should or shouldn't do that. And that's who, like, I am the misfit. We're the misfits, and compartmentalizing each other and our brothers and sisters, is not the right way, man. When truthers are fighting each other over your round earth, what do they call it? Round earth shill, or the best one is that there's this whole group of people that are pretty hardcore, and their information is pretty good, but a lot of times you boil them down and they're fucking anti-Semites. Like, I'm not cool with that. I'm not okay with that guy. Like if you're like anti-Semitic, like, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm not. Is there Zionists that might run this, that have a set just like all of us, like that run part of the world? Sure. But to say all the Jews are bad, fuck that. I'm not part of that shit. And I just think that's just part of the plan to get everyone to fight each other. And I'm not part of that. I want everyone to love each other. I want everyone to go to a rave and have some kind of experience, or go to a comedy show, or go anywhere and have some kind of experience that transcends your life. And then you just know that we're all in this shit together and we know shit about shit.
It's a fact.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, we've gone a little bit long. I know it was a little bit of a fuck show. I'm sorry. Clint, do you have anything you want to talk about before we end this?
I would just like to thank, I'm not going to talk about anything. I want to thank Hero Soap Company. Do our plug for them, herosoapcompany.com. They are sourced and made in the United States, owned by a Air Force veteran. Percentage of the proceeds goes to veteran charities and first responder charities, and actually your first order is matched and sent to deployed troops.
Nice.
So
that's great.
you guys have been supporting it a lot so far. You can actually get 20% off by using the code FREETHINKERS with an S at the end. And that's it. Other than that, freethinker.tv for the website, which has all our podcasts on, and Freethinker on YouTube and Rumbles.
Awesome. Thank you, Clint. Thanks for coming. We're back, guys. We're going to start doing this more regularly. Like I said, we're going to switch gears. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Hero Soap. Thank you, Sam Tripoli, for always supporting us. Thank you, The Swarm. We are The Swarm. We love you guys. Some big podcasts. Don't forget, Clint didn't mention, don't forget our podcast for the comedy club, the dojoofcomedy.com, is No Carnival Parking. And No Carnival Parking is going to be coming back. That's our podcast where we get a little more loose, we get a little more crazy, and we have tons of local comedians and comedians traveling to this club that come and hang out. It's just a hangout. So start tuning into that. A lot of big things coming. Thank you so much for being understanding of us taking a little break and coming back. Thank you so much, guys.